I'll stand in awe of you. And I'll stand in awe of you, Jesus. Yes, I'll stand in awe of you. My words be few. Oh Jesus, I am so in love with you. So in love, so in love, so in love with you. So in love, so in love, so in love with you. So in love, so in love, so in love with you. So in love, so in love, so in love with you.
Over the mountains and the sea, your river runs with love for me. And I will open up my heart and let the healer set me free. I'm happy to be in the truth, and I will daily lift my hands, for I will always sing of when your love came down. I can sing of your love forever. 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 Over the mountains and the sea, your river runs with love for me. And I will open up my heart and let the healer set me free. I'm happy to be in the truth, and I will daily lift my hands, for I will always sing of when your love came down. I can sing of your love forever. 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 require. You search much deeper within, through the way things appear. You're looking into my heart. I'm coming back to the heart of worship, and it's all about you. It's all about you, Jesus. I'm sorry, Lord, for the thing I've made it. When it's all about you, it's all about you, and it's all about you. It's all about you, Jesus.
My Jesus, my Savior, Lord, there is none like you.
Open the eyes of my heart, Lord. Open the eyes of my heart. I want to see you. I want to see you. Open the eyes of my heart, Lord.
Yes, I'll stand in awe of you. And I'll stand in awe of you, Jesus. Yes, I'll stand in awe of you. My words be few. Oh Jesus, I am so in love with you. So in love, so in love, so in love with you. So in love, so in love, so in love with you. So in love, so in love, so in love with you. So in love, so in love, so in love with you.
Over the mountains and the sea, your river runs with love for me. And I will open up my heart and let the healer set me free. I'm happy to be in the truth, and I will daily lift my hands, for I will always sing of when your love came down. I can sing of your love forever. 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 Over the mountains and the sea, your river runs with love for me. And I will open up my heart and let the healer set me free. I'm happy to be in the truth, and I will daily lift my hands, for I will always sing of when your love came down. I can sing of your love forever. 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 search much deeper within. Through the way things appear, you're looking into my heart. I'm coming back to the heart of worship, and it's all about you. It's all about you, Jesus. I'm sorry, Lord, for the thing I've made it. When it's all about you, it's all about you, and it's all about you. It's all about you, Jesus.
My Jesus, my Savior, Lord, there is none like you. All of my days, I want to praise the wonders of your mighty love. My comfort, my shelter, tower of refuge and strength. Let every breath, all that I am, never cease to worship you. Shout to the Lord, all the earth, let us sing. Power and majesty, praise to the King. Mountains bow down and the seas will roar at the sound of your name. I sing for joy at the work of your hands. Forever I'll love you, forever I'll stand. Nothing compares to the promise I have in you. My Jesus, my Savior, Lord, there is none like you. All of my days, I want to praise the wonders of your mighty love. Oh, you're my comfort, my shelter, tower of refuge and strength. Let every breath, all that I am, never cease to worship you. Shout to the Lord,
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our AGM for 2025. Great to see so many smiling, happy faces out there, and a better turnout than last year, so it's a success already. I'm Simon Collins. I'm the Vice Chair of Trustees, for anyone who doesn't know, and the enduring Sunday morning coffee shop volunteer. So I will be upselling a little bit later on, so don't think you're going to escape without me selling you a bacon sandwich or a cake. Just a few words before we get going. Incredible to think that another 12 months has passed since we last stood and sat here, and so much has happened. We've continued to weather the financial challenges that the whole country finds itself in. I think what's been really stark this year is how high our costs are before we even do anything, and Rosie will touch on that a bit more a bit later. I think we've seen renewal really bed in. We talked about that last year, but I think we are getting our internal, external focus better. I think we're getting a better balance in what we're doing, and again, we can talk about that a little bit later on. And I think it'd be remiss of me not to thank all the staff here and all the volunteers. We couldn't do what we do, and we do a lot. Trust me, we do a lot without those people. But I'd also be failing my wife if I didn't say we always need more volunteers. lisa.collins@yeovil.cc is the answer to all woes. And we've also seen ourselves resourcing the wider church, whether that be through New Wine and Jesus Collective, which has been great to see. Right, I'm going to try a bit of technology. Oh, missed that bit. So the programme for tonight, I'm going to finish up in a second. Then Adam's going to come give us an overview of the year and talk about our vision and direction and just touch on leadership. And then each of the committees all come up and do their piece as well. We're going to take an interview format like we did last year, so sat up on the stage and talking through and making it more of a discussion. And at the end of each segment, there'll be opportunities for questions. But we'll also take questions at the end if there's anything that we haven't covered. That's our trustees, group of volunteers who give that governance and oversight to the organisation, most of whom are here tonight. So if you don't know who they are, that's who we are. And please feel free to come and ask us any questions during the session or afterwards as well. And then before I hand over to Adam, hopefully you've all got our wonderful annual report, which is really good. Hopefully you've had a chance to read through it. You can download it online if you need to there, but there are hard copies available. But this is a great piece of work. And Amy, who I can't see, is at the back there, has done some amazing work on this. And she should be rightly proud of what she's produced. I'm sure she's also glad to see the back of it, because that has taken up a lot of her time, so thank you to Amy. Please engage in the evening, please ask questions, and I'm going to hand over to Adam to carry on with the rest of the session.
Thank you, Simon. Yeah, so it's been quite a year. If we think back to last year, we were kind of partway in the early stages of navigating the financial hit of the financial woes of the council and the loss of £400,000 of funding for our families project, and we were navigating all of that. And I think we've navigated that really well. We'll be able to see some of that in Rosie's report. I think we're in a much more secure financial state, and yet we haven't pulled back on our serving the community. However, at the same time, we did make a decision around this time last year that our focus was going to be renewal, that rather than growing even further into our community support, there would be some natural growth and evolution of that, but actually our focus needed to be on renewal, that there was a sense that there was something going on in the nation, there was something God had been talking to us about renewal, and that was something we should focus on, we should push into, and we should prioritize. So I think there's probably a slide that'll touch on that. That's me. So, this is our leadership team. Largest except you'll see Sim and Lois sneaking in on the end there. Part of our push for renewal, part of our paying attention to what the Spirit's up to, has also been to be determined to draw in younger voices into the leadership team. Sim and Lois are representative of that, but they're not unique in that. We also kind of have a practice of inviting people to meet with us as a leadership team. So we don't just ask people to join us as a leadership team, we also ask people to come and meet with us for a while. And there's a few of our younger generation who are in that space at the moment. So Charlotte, who's been on the Create team and coming to the end of her time, she's been meeting with us for a little while. Amy is now meeting with us. Dan Bauscher is meeting with us, and I'm looking for any prompts of anyone that I've... And Bridget is in that group as well. So Bridget, who heads up our Roost work, is in that group as well. And so we're looking to pay attention to, draw in, include that younger voice coming through, because we think that's important as we determine where we're headed. But we want to focus on renewal. Our mission is to live out faith, hope, and love in our community, and I think we're really good at that. But if you move to this is our kind of our 365, so love, faith, hope, and love, our 6 values of story, connection, relationship, generosity, transformation, and creativity. And then our 5 vision statements. And the one we're focusing on most at the moment is praying and creating space for renewal in ourselves and in our communities. And this is a really intentional focus. It's how we're shaping our teaching program. It's how we're shaping our Sundays. It's why we have relaunched our life groups. It's why we have introduced ID groups and intentional discipleship groups. We are encouraging because there are so many stories of people coming to faith. Actually, since we launched this focus on the 1st of September last year, there hasn't been a Sunday where we haven't had new people coming into the church, which is quite something. In fact, I don't think there's been a Sunday where we haven't had someone in the 18s to 30s age group new coming into the church. That was certainly true about 2 months ago. Don't know if it's still true because I haven't checked every week. But up until at least 2 months ago, that was true. We haven't had a single Sunday where we hadn't had a new somebody new coming to the church who was in the 18s to 30s group. But it's not just that generation, it's across the generations. And really exciting, encouraging stories. People with no faith background, people with no church background, people feeling a sense or hearing a voice or some conviction within them that I need to go to church, I need to be in this place. Had a message a few months ago now for someone on Facebook, sent a message in going, I'm an atheist. I have no interest in religion, but I was walking past your building the other day, and this voice said to me, the answers to all the questions you're asking are in that building. So if you don't mind, I'm going to come in for a conversation. And we seeing that sort of thing happen just regularly, like consistently through. So renewal is happening, but renewal starts in us. I do not believe that this move of the Spirit is a spectator sport for us. It is something we have to dig into and invest into and focus on and make sure that renewal is happening in us first and foremost. And so it will flow out. That for a long time we've had this value of connection and connectivity, and this idea that we seek to be reconnected in every way that we can so that the world around us can be reconnected, restored, and renewed in every way that it can. And this is the kingdom of God. It starts with us, by our determination to do the work of being closer to Jesus, repenting more, forgiving more, living more hopefully, living more joyfully, digging into our disciplines more, doing the work so that the reconnection and restoration and reconciliation that's happening in us overflows from us and spills out into the communities and the streets around us. This is very much our vision. Some encouraging, I will draw your attention to page number 14. If you have one of these, you can go online, yeovil.cc/report, if you haven't got one in front of you. But there's just some interesting statistics that are in this report. It says we've had 55,000 YouTube views in the last year. That's 1,000 people a month, 1,000 times a month. Someone's going onto YouTube, watching one of our Sunday morning services or one of our resources that we put out there. That's happening 1,000 times a month, which is really encouraging figures. Just in the last 3 months, we've seen 12,500 Instagram views. We have 33,000 website views in the last year. People coming to the website looking for more resources to find out more about us, what we do, where we do it, how we do it. Almost 2,000 podcast listens in the last year. And as a church, so our online presence is something. I know sometimes the cameras can be a little bit annoying, or we can feel like they're inhibitors in some way, but there are hundreds and thousands of people who are engaging with us through that platform. And it's an important part of our reaching out and the renewal that we're seeking to see. But we have 735 adults in our church suite database. This is something we have modified. This isn't just people who've been on our database for years. This is our church suite database is now all updated. These are people who are registered, signed up. 735 adults. We have over 1,000 children in our church suite database. That's not just children who come on a Sunday morning. That's in our youth groups, in our parent toddler groups. But it's pretty amazing. We have 16 life groups now as a church, which is a real sign of life. And we are planning and very hopeful for new groups, because we need new groups, because we have a waiting list now of people who want to be in a life group. And just another interesting statistic, 545 building bookings over the last year, which just shows how much this space is being used as we are a presence in our community, bringing hope in our community, living out our faith in our community. So, as a leadership team, we are looking to push into renewal. So, I think it's been a good first year of contending for, praying for, focusing on, pushing in. But I don't think any of us would say that the renewal we're seeing is everything we were hoping for. We are hoping for more, so we must pray for more. We must contend for more. We must see more renewal in ourselves, so we can see more renewal out and beyond us in our community. We are a space of renewal, a space of hope, a space of reconciliation and restoration in our community. If you look at the myriad of things that happen here, the number of people who are in and out of our building every single day, this space is a really important space in our community. But what we are hoping for, what we are praying for, is an undeniable pouring out of the Spirit and a renewal in this town and in this area. So that is our focus. Rosie, shall we get into the interesting bit? Let's talk numbers. Rosie, you are right to applaud. Rosie has done an amazing job. Really dedicated, focused, digging into our finances, helping us navigate some really tricky situations, putting us on a more steadfast, secure, less vulnerable financial position, helping us all understand what's going on behind the numbers. So, Rosie, over to you. Shall I pull your first slide up?
Evening, by the way. Hey. So we'll just start with the team. So obviously myself. Keith helps me in the finance team for trustees. And then we have Trisha on the ground, who does pretty much all the groundwork. Trisha has taken massive leaps forward this year. I have pushed her, so thank you, Tricia, for accepting all the crazy ideas I have in terms of finance. She now does a monthly report and gives me reports probably weekly in what I'm asking her to do. So she's like taken on a whole load more, and she's taken on a lot of the HR function as well. So yeah, Tricia's amazing, but sorry to say, Tricia, we've still got things to do. So there's still a way to go, because I have lots more crazy ideas that we can do. Yeah, Tricia has, like I say, taken loads of steps forwards this year in terms of what we do.
Yeah, she has. It's been great. So, what does this mean?
So, I do this every year, so sorry if you've heard this before, but just like accountancy lingo, unrestricted means that we can use the money on absolutely anything we want to and what we choose to spend it on. Restricted means that we are told, essentially, what we spend that money on. So it has quite strict regulations in the charity sector, so we have to be quite strict in terms of spending. And how I put it to most people is that we just have loads of buckets of money. And so sometimes our money in the bank looks really, really healthy, and yet we want to do this one specific thing, and there's no money for that one specific thing because it's all kind of tied up in other areas. So that's where probably our biggest headache comes in charity accounting, in that we're quite strict in terms of where the buckets can be spent, if that's the most helpful way to put it. So these are our 2024 results. That's our year to 31st of December. So we're talking, this is the struggle when you come to accountancy, because you do all the accounts and you sign them off at 31st of December and then you just start again. So in Tricia's world, this doesn't really matter because she's doing the day-to-day and she's looking at all the money currently. But it takes kind of 6 months to get it all signed off. And and this year we took a slightly different approach in that because we weren't being audited, I actually prepared the accounts this year and then just got them independently examined. So it's just a slightly different approach. Normally we just give it all to the examiners. So we learned a few lessons this year, but generally it's all signed off, all done, all submitted. So that's great, being kind of...
And what does, great, income, almost £1 million, restricted 255. We've spent slightly more, a little bit more than came in. Is that something we should be worried about? Is that just it's all taken as a snapshot on a day, or is that an area of concern?
So it's not an area of concern, just to start off with that point. Essentially, our accounts pretty much, like maybe £1,000 here and there, pretty much matched our budget at the start of the year, which is unbelievable because that very, very rarely happens. I work with a whole load of clients that we have to reforecast every 2 months because it's not going to plan. So when we set a budget in kind of September time, that's when we start the focus. Me and Tricia sat down because I was on maternity leave. So me, Tricia and Louis sat down with all the budget holders. And we asked them what they'd want to spend in the year. We asked them what they needed to spend in the year. We asked them what they could potentially lose out of their budget. And essentially, we told them all what was a realistic picture. So we got, everybody's ideas, stuck it all together, and then took a whole load of stuff out, because if you go into Joe Hardy's head, you'll get a whole load of expenditure that we just can't manage.
Joe always has something. You go, we could do this. Yeah.
But essentially, it's really good to know Joe Hardy's head. Just sorry to pick you out. But it's really helpful to know, because if we have a 5-year plan for absolutely everything, which is, we're not there yet, but I'd love to be. But if we had a 5-year for absolutely everything, we can manage our finances so much better. So like I say, we're not quite there yet, but that's where I'd love to be. And so any kind of the building, asset replacement, RIT, just general repairs, like if we can have a kind of a plan for going forward, it makes our finances so much easier, and it makes my life so much easier. So
it is also a little deviation here, but Joe Hardy's head is a fascinating place to be in. But he works really hard to do all of this in the most economical way. So we were looking at an issue, and he was going, we've got this big issue around lights and speakers and whatever, and it was like, it's going to cost us £50,000 to £100,000 to solve this. And then he got into a conversation with Hillsong in London, and he got all the stuff we needed for £5,000. So, like, made us a massive saving just because he's cheeky and will ask, and there's stuff spinning in his head all the time. So, like, he does have a lot of stuff going in his head, and sometimes it can sound like big numbers, and oh my word, how are we going to afford that? But he does an incredible amount of work, and not just him, but Donish as well, and others, in making this all happen and seem pretty seamless. So yeah, just jumping back to the question, that is not a worry for me because that's what we essentially budgeted for in the first place. We wouldn't have set a budget that wasn't okay. And if we did, we wouldn't be doing our jobs very well. So, like, yes, we spent more than we had, but we had that money sat there to spend, if that makes sense. So at 31st of December 2023, we would have had that surplus to spend in the next year. At that point, we would have been sat on a whole bunch of families funding that needed to still run through. And charity accounting is slightly different. So if anybody, just to go into anybody who's into actual accounts, in a normal set of kind of company accounts, if you receive, 50 grand in December and you have until June to spend that money, so it's a contract over 6 months, in a company set of accounts, you'd actually defer that income. In charity, you have to be, it has to meet a set of conditions for you to defer it. And most of the time, we don't meet those conditions. So at a year end, when we've got a contract coming in, let's say we've got, a 50 grand grant come in, but that's actually for a contract for the 6 months, all that income will sit at a certain date, but it actually has to last us like those 6 months. Yeah. So sometimes our income can look kind of slightly inflated or slightly in deficit, depending when money comes in. Yeah. So that 67 might have been that we received 100 grand in the December before, and we just spent it over the next 12 months. So it does just depend when we receive that money. And is there anything we need to be aware about the balance between restricted, unrestricted, and contingency?
Not loads. I think probably it's just worth noting that obviously, in terms of percentages, we would love for that unrestricted fund to be bigger because that just allows us to make a whole load of decisions, a whole load more free decisions. But that contingency fund didn't used to be a part of that pie chart. It used to just be unrestricted and restricted. So what we did last year?
2 years ago.
We put in a reserve policy in our accounts, and we want to be able to meet our obligations for 3 to 6 months at any given time. So if our contract runs out or anything like that, we've just got a fund sitting there going, do you know what, it doesn't matter, we've got 6 months to work this out. And so it just gives us a bit of time and space if anything like that ever happens.
Yeah. So we're building that up. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Great. So far this year. Yes.
This is as of Monday, so when I did these PowerPoints. So, our income is just over the 500k. This is a really awkward figure for me because I have to kind of estimate whether we're going to have an audit for the year. Mm-hmm. And our audit happens if it goes over the £1 million threshold. So we are sitting at kind of just halfway on pretty much dead on the threshold.
But you're not asking people to give less?
No, we're not asking people to give less. But the threshold, it does, an audit costs like a reasonable amount of money to have done. So, no, we're not asking people to give less. But an audit probably, I think last year our audit cost us over 10 grand to get done. Auditors do cost a lot compared to an independent examination. So just by going over the threshold £1, we then have to spend 10 grand on an audit. So it's like, I'm definitely not saying give less. But it does make a huge difference in terms of our outgoings if we do need an audit. Yeah.
Okay. Great, but we're looking fairly healthy and we're on budget. Mm-hmm. Things are going as planned.
Yeah.
And is it worth talking about, it's like income's holding up, isn't it? And giving's holding up, which I actually think is quite notable in the current financial climate.
I get, I'm summed up to a lot of kind of charity help letters and newsletters and things like that, just to keep kind of current with and most of the things is, are you struggling? Like, everybody should be struggling. Like, what are you going to do about these? And we are in such an amazing position that I would say we're not struggling. We're don't get me wrong, there is always struggles with finance because you always have to pay for stuff. Generally, we could go over budget, I reckon, by about £1 million if we really wanted to, because there's just always stuff to spend money on. But we are very, very comfortable in compared to a whole load of other charities and companies. I work majority with companies, and a lot of companies are seeing really, really hard times at the moment.
Because we set a budget based on giving, maintaining, didn't we?
Yeah.
And it has maintained.
Yeah.
So that's something for us to be really appreciative of, and thank you to everyone who gives on a regular basis and gives in whatever way they can, because actually that does make this so much easier if the figures that we're working on actually are the figures that come in. That makes a lot of...
Yeah, and which is why it makes our budget for 2024 so remarkable that it was so close, because most things don't go to plan on a budget. And I know that that sounds really worrying because you budget for a reason, but generally budgets always have kind of things that do go awry, and yeah, we didn't see that in 2024, and we haven't so far in 2025. So prayers that continues would be great.
Yeah, that's great. So let's talk through these things.
Yeah. So 2025 so far, we've had some really, really positive news about the hub. You probably could talk about it way more than I could.
Sure, yeah, and I can. So obviously we know that whenever it was, 18 months ago or whatever, we lost our funding for the families programme, and then we've had to negotiate and move things around, but we're still supporting families at a really good level, and that's encouraging. The Welcome Hub funding was up for review, and up for quite a significant review. So it's kind of been year to year that we get about £170,000 a year to deliver the Welcome Hub, which is the refugee work that we do, and we support about 300 to 350 refugees currently. So it's quite sizable work. We're in a lot of ESOL classes, we're in a lot of drop-in sessions, a lot of all sorts of things. But it was up for review because the council wanted to deliver a 4-year contract, and they wanted one contract and not 5 contracts, because there's 5 different Welcome Hubs across Somerset. So they wanted us to all collaborate, and not just the 5 hubs, but also all the different agencies involved, mental health and languages and all that sort of education, all that sort of stuff, to collaborate and put together one bid for the council. So that was a lot of work that we had to dive into in typical council fashion at fairly short notice with a ridiculously tight time frame to turn it around. But we did work really closely with all the other agencies, particularly Somerset Community Charity, I can't remember what they're called now. But we worked really closely with them, all the other charities, and we managed to get a bid in, and that bid was successful. So we have actually had a pretty small, like £5,000 uplift in our funding for this year, but it's a 4-year funding with a 2-year break clause. So it means that we know that funding's guaranteed for the next 2 years, and we expect that funding to carry on now for 4 years to continue delivering refugee support. So that's really positive news.
Yeah. And obviously, based on what I said earlier, it's just really helpful in terms of forecasting, because we've now got at least 2 years, and
more than likely 4.
Yeah, more than likely 4 years. So it's just really helpful. So we obviously got the lottery funding last year for the YFRF as well, so that's obviously ongoing as well. So in terms of secured funding, it's really helpful that we kind of know that for the next few years, and can make a solid,
we have quite a clear picture,
plan.
Yeah, which is great.
So Bridget has been doing an exceptional amount of work. Where is she? Oh, right at the back. Just a shout out to Bridget. Bridget is insane at getting in funding. She is also very, very confident at speaking to people and telling everybody what the Roost does and probably how confident she is that it's amazing, tends to win us bids. So she has done an incredible job at getting in some extra funds for the Roost. But what we probably just need to do a little bit of work on, which has already started, is the Roost fund. The actual core contract for the Roost hasn't changed in 3 years now.
4 years.
4 years in terms of the money we're getting in, and obviously everything has gone up price-wise. And so it's a fairly small contract, so it's kind of not a make or break contract. It's not the same level as kind of Y4F. It's more like 45.
Yes, 45, 46, yeah.
And so it's very small in comparison, so it's not a massive risk to us, which is kind of why we're not kind of freaking out that we haven't got anything in place or it's like not increased. But we are starting to see that it just needs that uplift a little bit.
It actually costs somewhere between 70 and 85,000 a year to run, and we're currently getting funding of about 45,000 to run it. So yeah, Bridget's getting some extra grants in, which is really helpful. But we're having, and NHS pay a little bit. They pay about 9,000 a year, I think, for room hire. So they make a contribution as well. But there's a gap, which we're not going to pull the plug on that. It's a gap that we can sustain, but it's something that we want to address and renegotiate with the council when they're in a slightly better financial position.
Yeah, so that's like I say, it's on our radar. It's something we're discussing, but I just wanted to kind of put it in just to make you all aware that it is something that probably just needs to like up a little bit.
Coffee shop.
Yeah, so I've got some slides about the coffee shop, and the next slide, some operational costs, which is what Simon was talking about at the start.
Shall I skip on to the next slide?
Yes. So this is, like I say, I did these slides I did this feedback to the trustees in May. So this is where these graphs come from. So turnover, generally, I don't know why I'm looking at that, I've got a screen here. Turnover is trending in the right direction. So this is 3 years worth of data, which is really helpful because we changed our accounting software about 3 years ago. So we've got all that data in one place now that we can just extract and kind of get some graphs out. So turnover is trending in the right direction. It is increasing steadily. We have some really, really good months, and then we have some kind of dips in places. Yeah. Some of this will just be inflationary price increases, which we have to do just because of the climate. But I would say the majority of it is an increase in sales. So the coffee shop is a lot busier than it historically has been. I've put the point on there that we need to consider a trading subsidiary. So this would be quite a change for us, but we have been advised by our accountants to look into this because essentially we are over the threshold for when you should be taxed on income. Historically, because we've made a loss, we've kind of negated that in terms of because we're not making a profit, it makes actually no difference to the taxman whatsoever. But we are looking to make profits in the coffee shop to support everything else we do. And as soon as that is consistently a thing, we will need to probably look into the trading subsidiary. What that does is it does open a little bit of doors in that we don't have to just trade in the coffee shop. We could do merchandise, or Joe's head's going wild right now. But we could trade in other areas. It doesn't just have to be the coffee shop. So it does open a few doors in that sense. But what I'm currently kind of doing the work on is looking at how that changes our VAT position for the charity itself, how that changes some few other kind of things that by having it all together, it makes some things slightly easier. By splitting it out, it just has a few challenges with it. So we just need to, I need to look into it fully and have a proposal for the trustees and just to see where that lands. So I just wanted to put that because next year we might already be in that position. So I didn't want to come to the next AGM and say, oh, we've now got a trading subsidiary, or just kind of put it in an email as a line, because it would be quite a significant change if we had a trading subsidiary, because it's a more commercial. We would have to run it as a more commercial enterprise, even though it would give any profits to the charity, as whoever is directors of that company which it would be, would have to run it profitably as a director, and doing their job as a director, who would have to be kind of slightly independent from our trustees, would have to make some decisions on a commercial basis rather than a charity basis, which sometimes we do at the moment. So it is a change, and so, yeah.
So that may or may not be coming down the track of us. So, but I think it's worth saying that the coffee shop team have worked really hard to see this increase in sales. We've addressed a whole number of things within the coffee shop. They're working on that. The sales are up, but they're working on actually less hours, less staffing, which was also one of the issues. It seemed that if we wanted to move from a place of kind of consistently having a loss each year to breaking even and making a profit, there were a number of things that we wanted to adjust. And the team have responded really well to it. They're working really hard. So big thanks to them for putting the effort in and making the difference. And we are... we're in the region now of break-even. You want next slide? Here we go.
So again, this is 3 years worth of data. So you can see, so the bottom line, sorry if you can't see the key, I had to squeeze it all onto a slide. But the bottom line essentially shows our profitability. So you can see it jumps around a whole lot. So the yellow line, I think, is our cost of sales. The blue line is labour, so all our staff costs. And then the green line, which makes our profit do this, is our turnover. So because our turnover fluctuates so much, and our labour costs are generally consistent, and our cost of sales are generally consistent, it means our profit's kind of all over the place. So I think the next stage of the coffee shop is probably to react to those changes in turnover, either by doing more on the months where we don't make as much money, because I think there is a consistent trend to which months we do and don't make money. So in those months where we don't, do something different, or make some decisions based on that. Or we need to drop some costs in those months. Yeah. So either way around, we need to do something in those months where we're not, we're finding either turnover is down or,
Yeah, great.
Yeah. Cool. So this is my last slide. So just to give you an idea of the type of things that Ian will know loads about, because this is a lot of his budget. But these are all the things that we have to pay for just to run as a business, I suppose, just to run as a building. So some of these costs will be so our insurance, for example, is £16,000 a year. And that in itself, so that doesn't really pay for anything other than if there's a major accident, or if something happens, and we pray that nothing ever happens that we need to use our insurance. But that just is essentially lost money. And a lot of these things are. So our bank and third-party charges, we're paying just under £4,000. Our safeguarding costs, we spend £3,500 just for kind of the software and the checks. Just to have a telephone and internet. Getting rid of waste, we spend £4,000 a year on just getting rid of our waste. Cleaning the building, £6,000, that's without a cleaner cost, that's just the products. Light and heat is our major cost that we would like to look into some solutions for, because it cost us, last year it cost us £45,000 just for our electric and gas during the year. We did some kind of IT projects last year, so that's probably slightly higher than our ongoing cost, but that is what we spent in 2024 to do some of the work we needed to do to upgrade our systems. Computer subscriptions and HR consultancy, which we have found immensely useful in the last few years. But again, it's a cost that we need as just to kind of have staff. We just need that kind of support. So like I say, this isn't everything. If you want to know a little bit more in terms of figures, I can absolutely go into more detail. But this was just to give you a little taster of kind of the things that we spend money on. That is, not. I don't want to say irrelevant, because it's not. We need them, but they're costs that just go behind the scenes that people don't necessarily think about. So generally, questions will be about Steve Hart. Questions will be about wages and the coffee shop and And just like the bigger stuff that people notice, but a lot of these things go under the radar that we have to spend money on, and it creates, Ian's budget is our biggest in the charity, because essentially you can't remove everything because they're essential costs, and they are just getting bigger, really, like with how everything is. So, yeah, it was just an insight. It's not like that's not a negative slide. I just wanted to kind of present an insight into some of the things. Yeah.
Yeah. So we are going to do Q&A at the end as well, but are there any questions that specific relate to this you're going, I want to ask whilst Rose is on the stage? Yes.
So some of that is, the system used for Y4F Welcome Hub and the Roost, what's it called? Yeah, that itself costs £6,000. And that's not outrageous in terms of what stuff costs. So just when we do all the kind of online stuff and all the computer programs we need to do, that kind of stuff, and just Microsoft subscriptions probably take a reasonable amount of that. We get a charity discount on our Microsoft subscription. So yes, some of them are choices. Like that's not, if we really needed to cut down, we probably could cut down on a little bit of that. But some of it, that's just to run the basic Microsoft and
we do regular reviews of these, and I think there might be some inflation in that particular year, but we do regular reviews of, are these the right subscriptions? Is this the best cost? Is this the best way of doing it? Do we need all the different users on each platform? But yeah, it is a lot.
Rachel's the runner.
Di Kershaw had a hand up.
On the slide about employment, you noted that there was 300 grand-ish on wages, and it had been 4,600 or thereabouts the year before. Is that fewer people, or the same people doing fewer hours? What do you feel the impact of that has been?
Generally, it's fewer people. A lot of that will be the Y4F contract. So we had a reasonable amount of resignations when that contract was lost. We also had two redundancies. So yeah, some of that is staff losses. I think everybody's hours are up to pre-contract.
Yeah, they are. But then there have been. So, for instance, we had in youth we had Claire Hardy, and we had Meg, and then Claire Hardy left, and Meg stepped into Claire's youth aspect of Claire's role, and so there was elements of reduction in, so there was one person less, but also reduction in salary. So some of those things, as they've come along, we've not rushed to replace, and we've kind of gone, well, let's see how it goes. Let's see what's needed. Let's see if there's other ways of solving this. So I think, Y4F will be a key part of that, but also there has been just a general sort of gentle reduction in the size of staff. So we were up around the 40 mark, and I think we're currently 32 staff. Malcolm will talk to that in a bit. Yes. Over here, Rachel, Kate. Oh, we've got one over here. Sorry.
Can I just ask about the giving? It's great to hear that it's holding up. My question is the percentage changing of people who give regularly by standing order or otherwise to the stuff that's sort of more ad hoc in basket or whatever?
Yeah. Sunday mornings are I would say a very low percentage compared to our regular standing orders direct debits. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, so our regular giving, like monthly standing order, has gone up. I couldn't give you an exact percentage, but it's gone up. Yeah, I'm not getting into percentage because I'll say it, but that has markedly gone up. But yeah, I think the ad hoc giving. So I think we have had some success. I think if you go back to last year, and we were kind of doing a push going, we need to respond to our community. If you're not a regular giver at this point, can you, and if you are, can you review? We haven't done that for about 15 months now, but that made a difference. We had more people commit into that, and it is really helpful. The more people can be regular committee givers, it helps our planning. It just helps in so many ways.
Just on the back of Malcolm's question, if we were audited last year, we would have gone over the £1 million mark. If we're not audited this year, surely the income's gone down.
So we were audited in 2023. We weren't audited in 2024.
We might be audited in 2025.
We might be audited in 2025.
Okay, so there is a fluctuation.
Well, we lost 400,000 of funding.
Yeah, it's complicated. It's a complicated equation.
Yeah.
Okay. You talked about the trading subsidiary. After 25 years, is there a possibility that the coffee shop would end up being its own business and not part of the church charity?
I think that would probably be a leaders and church decision.
Well, I know. I'm not asking for a decision, but I'm asking for, if you choose to do that, then would the coffee shop end up being its own business?
Yeah, because this is a conversation that leaders we've talked around, like, what's the way forward to the coffee shop? Because, if we go back, we can be open and honest about it. If we go back to January last year, the message from the trustees, December last year, the message from the trustees was the coffee shop breaks even this year, or we're going to have to do something radical with it. We can't keep subsidising it moving forward. And so we had a conversation as leaders about, okay, so is this something we still want to do? How do we want to do it? Do we get another organisation in to run the coffee shop, or do we looked at all those sorts of things. And actually the distinctive that we came out with as a leadership team was the most important thing was its Christian distinctive was the most important thing. Yes, we want it to break even, but actually what we want to re-establish is the strong Christian ethos right at the core. So we don't want, I think the caution from the leadership team to do we go to a trading subsidiary is how do we stop that losing its Christian ethos, and actually and our challenge at the moment is how do we increase the Christian ethos and the distinctiveness in the coffee shop as a culture, because we feel it's not at the level we want it to be at the moment.
As a trading subsidiary as well, it would be wholly owned by the charity. So if that decision was ever to be made, it would have to actually be bought by, the shares would have to be sold to break it away from the charity. So the charity would actually own the trading subsidiary, they would own the shares.
Okay, I believe you. It's just that I don't know. So, okay. The 67k contingency, I think I understood what you said, Rosie, but what if thousands of pounds needed to be spent on the gateway? Because after, say, an inspection, thousands of, lots of things, and lots of things do need doing to the building. I mean, how much of that contingency is allocated to the gateway building itself? So
the contingency is essentially a pot we want to leave alone for as long as we need to leave it alone. So we also have a building fund that is separate to that. So essentially, our building fund is a restricted fund, so that can only be spent on the building. What we haven't quite got yet is a replenishment of that fund. So at the moment, we're still kind of, like when me and Ian have conversations about the building, it's very much like, what should we prioritise? And what we want to is get to a model where the rental income just replenishes that fund. We probably just need to look at our kind of rent. So it's kind of one thing, and then you have to look at another thing. So we probably just need to look at our rental income as to like what proportion just replenishes that fund and what goes into like replenishing the fund, what goes into all our operational costs, because obviously we have to maintain all the building as well. And our rental income nowhere near covers all the operational costs that is currently required to run the building. So it's a kind of cat and mouse game, but there is a building fund that would cover some of that. So what the contingency fund is essentially there for is if emergency services almost. That's essentially what it's there for. We don't really want to touch it unless we have to.
Okay, and my final question on finance. I see CAP are a key partner with YCC, and as I'm no longer, as I'm retired, so I no longer work in the data centre as a member of staff, may I ask if YCC will continue to fund the Yeovil CAP Centre in the way that it has done over the last 10 to 11 years? May I ask if you will continue to do that, yes or no?
That's the plan. There's no plan to stop doing that. That's our ongoing commitment at the moment.
Okay, thank you.
That relates to what Steve was saying. Relates to what Steve was saying. When the coffee shop, when I was in there, the most important aspect of the coffee shop was relationship, building relationship. There was always a cheaper version of the coffee that anybody could afford. I think it was 99p for a filter coffee. So anybody could come in and afford it. Now, if you're going to change the way that it's run and to become more of a business, a separate business, is that not going to be lost? That the relationships that we build with the community and welcoming people in who maybe can't afford a full, £3 or £4, whatever it is for a latte or
So I certainly hope not. So from my perspective, and Adam can chip in, from my perspective, the trading subsidiary is just to essentially tick a box. And HMRC won't like me saying that, but it is essentially ticking a box. At the moment, as soon as we make any profit, we essentially would have to pay tax on that profit. So we would essentially have to pay over 20% to HMRC. If we become a trading subsidiary, we can give all that profit to the charity, and we don't have to pay any money to the taxman. We are already over the threshold is only 80,000, and it's not profit, it's based on the income you bring in. So we are already over that £80,000 threshold. So essentially, as soon as we make any sort of money, we would have to pay tax on that, especially when we're audited independent examiner. Like our accountants have already picked it up. So essentially, next year, if we made any profit, we would have to do a CT 600, which is a company tax return, and we would have to pay 20% over to the taxman. What the idea of a trading subsidiary, and we might choose to take that option. We can still choose to take that option. So the trading subsidiary isn't you have to do that once you hit the 80,000. It's you have to pay tax once you hit over that threshold. It's not that you have to do the trading subsidiary option. But with the trading subsidiary option, for one, I do think it opens some doors in terms of like additional income we could bring into the charity, and essentially anything that we do make would go back into the charity. So we could say we made 10 grand profit, just to put some figures on it. Say we made 10 grand profit, paid all that to the charity. The charity could set up a fund that pays for all the coffee what you're talking about. So do you know what I mean? The idea is that it would work together to create exactly the same, but if not increase the Christian ethos of the coffee shop. Yeah. It would, essentially that's the idea of it. It's not to take away any of that. Yeah.
It's a trading subsidiary is an accounting vehicle. There is I would say a joint determination between the trustees and the leaders that the ethos and values of the coffee shop are continue to be the same as they have always been. So we're not looking for those to change.
Hello.
Hello.
So just looking at the expenditure at the moment, so obviously lighting and heating is like a massive part of that. I'm just wondering if it's part of the longer term plan. I appreciate it's not going to be something that's going to be done this year or even possibly next year, but is it part of the long-term plan to potentially look at investing in renewables or something that can be put onto the building to basically, over the next kind of 10 years, drastically reduce that expenditure, and that money can then be used elsewhere?
Yeah, Karen will be able to talk about this more when she comes up. But yeah, we're looking at, I mean, our boilers are a risk at the moment because they're fairly old. We don't want to replace boilers with boilers. We want to replace our heating system with air pumps or that sort of system that A, is more environmentally friendly, but also financially better, but it will require a level of outlay to make the switch. But once we've made the switch, we'll be in a better position. That's what we're looking to do. But Karen will be able to talk a bit more about that when she comes up.
Hi. With being a blood donor, I was here the other evening. You sat there for about an hour. Has anyone ever thought about the coffee shop extending into blood donor hours as you sit there?
Where?
Blood donor hours.
Just an idea.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good idea. All right.
Frankly, you're bored silly for an hour.
Yeah.
I'm addicted to coffee. The two kind of could go together.
So what your request is really is you really want a coffee.
I want a cup of coffee.
I mean, if you let us know when you're going to be there, we'll see what we can do.
I was wondering, with the additional opening on Saturdays and some evenings, it's never been clear to me, is that still the coffee shop doing it, or is that somebody else doing that?
Yeah, it's a very good question. So we've had some thoughts for a while about whether we could open on Saturdays or Sundays, and we haven't been at a point where we could make that reach. So when we currently open on Friday evenings and Saturdays, that's not us, that's Powie, who works, he's on our team, but she does her own like pop-up restaurant at those times. So she pays us rent to use the space for that, but it's not our coffee shop opening at that point at the moment. So it's kind of a trial period that we're in to see how it goes, see how it works for them, see how it works for us. But that's what that is. Well, yeah. So it's paused for a while because she has some. She's actually going to be off with a medical procedure for a few weeks. So it will pause for that time. But I think it was, from their perspective, it was quite successful whilst it was going. All right, I think we can. Malcolm, you've got 5 minutes, and then yeah, we're out of time. Thank you, Rosie. So Malcolm, personnel, nothing's happened, right?
Yeah, nothing at all, no, there's just nothing to report, no, I lie. So personnel team, that's myself, Vicky, who's just down there, Vicky Bastable, and Nigel Hardy, I think he's elsewhere tonight. So that's the personnel team of the trustees. And here's some figures that might help. Di Kershaw was asking a little bit about that. I can look down there, can't I? So yeah, as of this month, we have 25 members of staff. Probably more than half of them are working part-time as opposed to full-time. There's 11 YCC, one of whom is currently on sick leave, 10 at Y4F, and 4 coffee shop. However, one's on maternity leave, one is off sick, that's Powie that Adam just referred to. And so we are making use of students over the summer period, people like your Elijah and 1-2 others, people who just want a short-term job, 0 hours contracts to help us through this time while Nikki's off on maternity leave and Powie's off having a medical procedure. So that's the numbers of staff. As you can see, it has reduced from September 24 significantly, and that's deliberate. Where Adam sort of alluded to this, we've kind of allowed certain situations where someone's moved on, we haven't automatically rushed to replace them. We've stopped, thought about it. Do we need to? Should we try? Are there other ways of skinning that particular cat, if I can use that analogy? Are there other ways we can accomplish what we want to do? And some of those sort of conversations and thoughts are still ongoing. Yeah. If you click onto the next slide, you'll see a few. few more things. So this highlights those things. So Youth and Children's Strategic Lead was Claire Hardy. She's now moved to working at the hospital and is thoroughly enjoying it, and we're glad for her. We haven't replaced her role. She also had, and this was referred to by, I think, you or Rosie, that we had Meg Tucker working as a youth outreach worker. We haven't replaced that role, but Meg has applied for and been given the role of youth leader. So you can see there's a sort of a saving there of we haven't fully replaced all of those roles. Caretaker. For those of you who know, Philip Tinku was working 15 hours a week as our caretaker, working under Ian Crowe. I'm delighted to say that his freelance work, which is the other half of his job, has expanded such that he's had to say, I'm sorry, I can't carry on as caretaker here. That's a good problem to have for him. It landed us with a problem. And Ian and I have been doing interviews today for his replacement. And we've had quite a number of applicants and looks very positive.
Great.
So that's the caretaker role. Yeovil family, we've had one person, Sue Whitlock, who's retired. The Roost aspect of Y4F, Helen Stonier stepped away, and we brought in Lorraine, who was working in the Roost, in the Welcome Hub, to share her time also working with Bridget, and that's worked really, really well. She had a heart to do that, was dying to have a chance to work in the Roost, and we've been able to do that. So again, we haven't fully replaced, but we've reallocated. Poppins has been a real challenge, and there is, very considerable sadness that Coralie, who's been suffering from long COVID, has had to conclude that she's not going to be able to come back. And we are currently in a process of thinking, is that something we can be running in future volunteer-wise, or do we need to look at other alternatives on that one? So at the moment, that's sort of pending. And then the coffee shop, which we've spent quite a bit of time talking about, Rena stepped back as coffee shop leader. She's working in a voluntary capacity at Fireway School at the moment, and we're currently in a sort of pending situation about where we go with the leadership at the coffee shop. At the moment, Jay and the team are doing really well, particularly in light of what I've said previously about how many people are off sick or on maternity leave at the moment. Doing an amazing job covering that situation, but we are in the middle of a exploration of what we need to do to put new leadership in there.
It's great.
So we touched on this last year, so this is just by way of reminder, really. So Joe Hardy, along with having a head full of brilliant ideas, as Rosie has said.
They're not all brilliant ideas, just some of them.
Oh, just, okay. He heads up New Wine Worship alongside his role here at YCC. And we're really happy to release Joe into that. It's part of who we are as a resource church. We are happy to do that. New Wine are very happy to second him from us for the equivalent of 1 day a week. And one of the extra benefits is that you get some really good, from your contacts, you get bits of equipment at a fraction of the cost they would normally cost. But that's
and
kind of...
And he has great fun writing songs.
And he also has great fun writing songs. And many of you will, if you're going to New Wine this year, will no doubt not only see him, but hear some of the songs that he's been working on. So that's Joe. So he's kind of working at YCC sort of 4 days a week-ish.
But it's a really important connection for us, New Wine.
New Wine is a really...
We see it as a strategic network that is resourcing the church, but not just resourcing the big, confident churches all around the country, actually resourcing a lot of small village churches and town churches and all over the country. And I think we think New Wine has a real key role to play in the country, so it's an important role to it's an important organisation and network to support. And I think also I think Joe brings something really beautiful and unique into that space that gets to bless the church nationally, which is a joy to see.
Yeah, it is. If you want to click on.
Next. That's enough about Joe.
No.
Let's talk about me.
You walked right into that one. So again, we have shared this, and quite recently Adam was talking on Spotlight about what he's doing. But so alongside leading the leadership team here, Adam is co-lead or co-executive
director, yeah,
of Jesus Collective, which is a Jesus-centered relational network, primarily based in the North American continent, USA and Canada. I'm also a personal partner of Jesus Collective. And so Adam has been dividing his time and is currently dividing his time 60-40 between YCC and Jesus Collective. But on top of that, he's also, as part of Jesus Collective, currently doing quite a lot of travelling on behalf of Jesus Collective, working with an American charity, helping them re-engineer their whole...
Yeah, reframe their work around a Jesus-centered theology. And they have this conviction, this belief that if they can shift from a sort of bounded theology to a Jesus-centered theology, it will change not just what they believe, but how they behave and how they deliver their work, and then what the whole genre of NGOs can look like. So it's quite exciting work, but taking an organisation through a theological shift is not quick work and not easy work. People tend to get quite precious about certain aspects of that. So it's fun, but it's demanding, and it's across Africa, Asia, and Latin America that they want to do the work. So that's a lot of the travel that I've been doing. I've done a trip to each of those continents recently, and then just in negotiations with them about what the full rollout across all 4,000 employees and 20 countries looks like over the next 3 years.
So, as you can appreciate, Adam's time is quite thinly stretched. And whilst obviously the impact on us as a team here and as a church here is one element of that, actually, God has been good to us, and I think, that's okay. We also have to take care of Adam in the process of this. If you're traveling to the other side of the world for 4 days here or 7 days someplace else, and then coming back and trying to suddenly sort of reorientate yourself in different ways is quite a challenge. So there are ongoing conversations between us as a leadership team particularly, and Adam, about how we look after him and manage his hours and his health within that. So that's why Adam's not always around here, and the division of Adam's time in terms of travelling, that's going to likely to continue, isn't it? You've got quite a bit of travelling still scheduled over the next 12 months.
I think the expectation is that I'll be probably doing a trip a month for the foreseeable future.
So if we move on a bit, because it sort of vaguely links into that. So over the past 2 years, there has been a significant reduction in the senior staff team working from the Gateway. Now, we've already mentioned Adam's time and Joe's time, but we also, if you have been around for a little while, you realise John Pocock moved on to a key role with the Anglican Church in the Diocese of Chester, and it was great to see him back for a wedding recently, with Sim and Lois's wedding. That was great. Rachel, who's somewhere over there.
Roving Mike.
Oh, there you are, yes. Yep. Roving Mike, Rachel. She's now working as part of the New Wine leadership team and doing good work there. Claire Hardy, I mentioned, has moved on to working at the hospital. All of those people were part of our, what we sometimes call the strategy leads team here. So that has led to quite a lot of stretch here. God is good and things are working well, but that is quite a lot of stretch, particularly when you add it to Adam's reduced availability and Joe's to some extent. If you'd like to flick on to the next slide. So, recognising the need to coordinate our numerous areas of local ministry, we are, and you'll have seen this because we touched on it in the news sheet and you'll have seen it on our website, we are currently advertising for a new role of Head of Operations. That's a kind of coordinating role for all of our ministries, including the coffee shop. So that advert is out there, and we hope to be interviewing for that over the next week or so. So just be prayerful for us, please, for that, because that is quite important, and that's essentially a leadership type role that we need to bring in to strengthen the team, given all those stress points that have arisen over this last 18 months.
And I think it's worth, if we say that renewal is a key focus for us, I think the team as it is stretched, but we can maintain things as they are. But if we're of the belief that we're going to see growth and renewal and expansion of things, then there isn't really any capacity within the team to manage that or stretch to that, which is why I think this role is really key, because it will help us. It will give us some capacity to respond to the renewal that we're in faith for.
Yeah, and that I think has been quite important, because one of the things we sensed as a leadership team over the last 3 months or so, well, a couple of months, was the need to prepare, even if we can't and shouldn't necessarily plan in detail, preparing resources for the future. And I think this is part of that process, preparing for what lies ahead, particularly in light of the stretch that there is.
Yep.
I think that's probably...
Is that your slides?
That's all my slides. But let me...
Oh, no, salary matter. You've got one.
Oh, yes. All right, I've got a few more things. Yeah, salary matters, just for details for those who may want it. In 25, general wage increase of 3.5% for staff. We increased our lowest paid staff by a bit more than that, about 5%, in order to ensure that they continue to be paid at or above the real living wage, which is our policy. There has been a significant impact on our wage bill from the government's recent increase in employers' NIC, not employees, employers' NIC, and that's both the rate of the NIC, but perhaps more significantly the threshold from which it's charged, which has added or is now adding to our wage bill, and indeed the wage bill of all other businesses and charities. So that is a fact. And I think I've got one other little thing just to mention on sickness. So I've already mentioned Coralie Duckworth. So she's, as I've mentioned, been on long-term sick and has now had to step down. My daughter-in-law Jo is on long-term sick, undergoing chemotherapy, but hopes to return later this year. And we've mentioned Powie undergoing some treatment and will be off work until the middle of August. I mean, obviously, I'm not recording there all the various other people who've had coughs, colds, or in some cases, the latest variation of COVID, which has been going around. Who knew? But yeah, so those are sort of the long ones.
Great. So any questions from Malcolm before? Dave. Here she is. Here she comes.
I was actually really keen not to ask a question, so I'm really sorry I am.
Oh,
Those
right.
that are watching the time.
There's still time, Dave.
I find head of operations a nervy position to be, because are you looking to recruit someone that's going to take care of things, or someone that's going to go straight in high up on the leadership team? And if so, has there been enough communication with people in the church of what type of person they're like? So is it a deacon, is it an elder, is it an apostle? What sort of level are we going in at?
That is a really good question, Dave. Thank you for asking it. And some of this is, so if you think back to John Pocock, we brought somebody in who we brought onto the leadership team fairly quickly, and I think that was the right thing to do, and I think that generally worked, and he was generally good in his role. But to do that, to bring someone in external to us and ask them to join the leadership team, ask them to understand our values and our DNA, is actually quite an ask. If there's somebody internal, that might be an easier process. And so my ideal would be that we have someone who understands us and who would slot really comfortably into the leadership team, and help us drive forward. But some of that depends on who applies and then what the process is. So we have spun this around for a while as what is the role, and exactly that question: is it here? Is it here? And in the end, we've kind of gone a little bit in response to this. Well, you don't have to have all the details before you kind of put some of the plans or create some of the capacity in the system. And so we've put the advert out, I think, with let's see who applies. And and let's see where it goes. What I would say is, I'm encouraged by some of the response that we've had, so I feel more hopeful about that. But we need to see how the process plays out. But I would be cautious about bringing somebody in. I think John was a bit of a unicorn where he was able to make that step, and he had a level of maturity and a level of depth, and there was already a natural inclination towards who we were as a church. I don't think we could assume that from anybody who applied for the role.
The job description for it is available if you want to look on the website, and it's probably easier to do that rather than go through it all now. But yes, we've given a great deal of thought to that, and no one's going to claim that head of operations is necessarily a perfect title. It's just a descriptive thing. As Adam said, we historically do not tend to appoint to leadership people from right outside the church. That has not usually been our approach, John Pocock being an exception. No, he wasn't. He joined the leadership team. Sorry.
Can we not say never? Whoever we recruited.
No, I mean, that would be the only exception I'm aware of, yes. And I can't remember how long before he was actually formally on the leadership team. Can't remember.
Yeah, it was
fairly soon.
It was fairly quick.
Fairly quick.
But yes, it wasn't.
And the same would apply in this situation. For the record, at the moment, the advert is going out internally.
Yeah, we've only advertised internally at this point. Sorry?
I asked if you'd answered his question, and he said, good enough for now.
All right,
Okay.
good.
Any other questions? Yeah, sorry, Steve.
You say internally?
Yes.
Well,
What does that mean?
We've
Internally
advertised it
to the church.
to the church family and to current staff.
Not on LinkedIn?
No, it's not on LinkedIn.
Okay. So just within the church?
Within the
big
church
C.
family. Yeah. So we put it in the newsletter, we put it in the email out to
on
the
the
church,
website.
and we put it on our website, and we've communicated it to staff, but we haven't done.
So the church in as the UK church?
No, as
No.
in
Or local?
Local.
as in
Just local?
YCC.
As in YCC.
Oh, that local.
That local.
That's our starting point, and then
We'll see where we get with this, and watch this space. There's questions back there.
I'm getting my steps up. It's all right.
Can I ask why just do it to YCC first, like the local church, rather than put it wider?
Well, for the sort of reason that I've suggested, because we see the role as certainly very close to and likely very soon joining the leadership, and we tend to appoint internally for people that we know. That has been our historic and experience that's worked well. But obviously, if nothing is yielded there, then we would spread wider. But again, keeping it to people we know or feel we have close connections with.
yeah. So like the next stage would be that we might go. I mean, we go to the Yeovil churches, we might go to the New Wine Network, we might go to the Wildfires Network, and see if there's people in relationship there that we might go to. But yeah, we felt like this was the correct first step.
Just given the recent sort of staff changes and the conversations about whether different roles are needed, I'm just interested in professional development and how staff are supported. Is that something that's part of the HR consultancy that was mentioned, or is it dealt with separately, or is it something that you would consider as part
Yeah,
of
I
the
mean, we
future?
do seek to take seriously people's desire for support, training, development. So that's one of the questions that comes up on annual appraisals, what additional training is required or is desired. And there are a number of people at the moment for whom we are funding coaching, professional coaching, Christian professional coaching, as it happens, because we think that would be really, really helpful for them.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, Malcolm.
Good.
Can I, before you... it's just a point of clarification, just so I don't get in trouble at work. I'm part of the senior staff team at New Wine. I'm not part of the leadership
Sorry.
team. So just then I don't get in trouble. Yeah, that's it.
Karen.
Thank you. Yeah. So Karen. Thank you, Malcolm. Karen, buildings and health and safety and safeguarding and
Yes.
you have all the best jobs.
Grading it.
What do you have? Give us an update. Let's come to
Okay.
your first.
Right. Okay. Just some quick figures. Just like to share. So, our safeguarding team, there were 294 safeguarding disclosures or concerns raised last year. So it's down from the previous year, but that is because obviously Y4F wound down their current operations, and then obviously it's taken time to build up the groups, the peer groups. So, there were, so obviously, but the numbers actually are already increasing. I think I'm sure it's got a couple of hundred already for this year.
And the families, just for the families, so we used to do one-to-one, like in-family, in-home support, like quite high intensity with quite high tariff families, as it were. But that is the council's responsibility, of which they were contracting us to deliver some of that. As they've pulled the funding, that remains their legal responsibility. And we have said that we will continue to focus on the preventative early help work. So we're doing that through a peer mentor type scheme where we run peer groups with professional link workers within those groups to advise, support, encourage as they go through. But yeah, the shift from going from one model to another model meant it was quite a change in operation. We now run 9 peer support groups through the week, every week. And they're really successful. But as those relationships are building and as they're developing and as they're more and more populated, then the number of safeguarding issues and concerns will naturally rise.
And although, like I say, they are sort of lower tier, but I think now they are accepting people who are actually being looked after by the council.
Yeah.
But we don't want to say they can't, but they still can't.
Yeah.
It's wrong if we say we can't support you. So they are able to be referred in or referred
We're just not the
themselves
lead
in.
agency for
No,
those
we're not the lead
families
agency, so that's the difference.
Yeah.
So there is some of that. So and obviously we have a system because we have so many. We use a system for which is part of the charges that we were talking about, as well as the DBSs that we do as part of our safer recruitment. It's something that's obviously to fund my concern.
Our safeguarding team and system is quite the operation. And I mean, those referrals, yes, they come through the families, but they also come through Welcome Home, they come through the roofs, they come through our youth work, children's work, parent toddlers, pop-ins. Like, they come through all those different areas. And to have that many referrals through a year means that we have to have quite a sizable team. But what I would say is when we talk to other organisations and when we talk to other churches around how we do safeguarding here, we are probably a leading standard on how to do safeguarding well. We have Lisa Collins is our safeguarding lead, but then I think we have, is it 5 deputies?
You'll see them, you get to see them.
So we get to see them.
Yeah.
You get to see them. We'll talk about that in a minute.
Yeah.
Great.
Okay. Another thing I wanted to mention was that we undertook a smoking/vaping survey at the beginning of the year because there were some concerns about sort of smoking
locations of where
where they were smoking, particularly to do with the coffee shop area where people were eating, and also the offices above it as well, and the impact. So, because obviously we obviously want to be very inclusive and welcoming to everybody, but we also have to bear in mind the health and safety of everybody as well. So we undertook a survey of staff, volunteers, attendees and group members, and we had 52 responses, which is really good, and they were able to, the comments were really helpful as well. But there was no majority for a site ban of smoking and vaping. But there was a majority about the coffee shop being non-smoking vaping as an area.
Including the outside tables.
Yeah, the outside tables, yeah. And also to create designated area for people to be able to go and smoke. I mean, there were suggestions about possibly over the old, the benches over there, but they're surrounded by trees and things like that. So that's bars and trustees agreed to the proposal to make the coffee shop area smoke vape free during office hours. We can't enforce it out of office hours, but particularly in office hours. And there is already a designated area that side of the building which Roost use, but also outside groups, who use in the building use. And our plan is to create a second one over in the corner of the
far
car
corner
park.
car park.
But obviously we need to, it all needs to be cleared of foliage and rubbish and everything else. So in the interim, I think like the front rows of tables are definitely non-smoking, and obviously because we haven't got anywhere else
but we're sorting
outside
that
the
far
building.
corner out.
So that is something that we've decided on. What else can I talk about? But obviously, as I say, part of that discussion, it was important hearing the views of people who like some were saying, how they appreciated being able to come to the Gateway where they weren't judged for smoking, and also that if we were to remove it, the mental health impact for some people where it is actually something that they rely on, and also sometimes it's to prevent them using other substances as well. So it's just, we're not wanting to stop people wanting to come, so that's why we haven't gone for that whole site ban. Moving on, what do we talk about now? Obviously, we do review policies and procedures as we go along. We have got a dogs policy now, which, and that arose because of having a banned dog who's part of the banned breeds coming. And so there are some things like coffee shop is dog friendly for those on leads, under control, and obviously not climbing on furniture and well behaved. And then obviously, and the Roost as well, it enables that, but that we don't, we only have in other areas, it's only if they are service or therapy or assisted animals, including like Sunday mornings, but they can use the coffee shop for dogs if others have brought dogs. So again, that was something that arose out of a situation, and that's where you then think about what do we want to do here to enable people to be able to come safely. So that was something else that we have done this year. Going on to like the building, as you know, this is a very, very used and building and takes a lot of knocks and everything like that. And it takes a lot to enable things to happen, like maintenance, room setups and pack downs, equipment, cleaning, heat, light, water, refreshments, washing, receptionists, toilets, rubbish, recycling, showers, laundry. There's a lot that has to be in place to enable groups to function here. And a lot of things getting tired, like we were talking about. And so they are, Ian, this year, his priority has been to try and is putting together a priority list of things that we need and also things we might desire. And it's things like we've got a problem in the Preston Lounge, and the outside needs tanking. I don't know what that is. I think somebody does know what that is. But obviously we've got issues with damp and that, which is impacting, and condensation impacting on the showers, the toilet area.
Yeah.
So things like that. Like I said, the boilers, they're a serious risk where they're struggling to get parts now. And so if the boilers fail, that will have a significant impact on us to be able to run groups, particularly in the colder weather. So that will be a significant replacement. And as was said before, ideally, we want to be thinking about renewables. We did apply I think we mentioned it last summer, that we'd applied for a grant to improve the efficiency, energy efficiency of our building, but we weren't successful. So
we got through the first phase, but not through the second.
Yeah. So we're back to having to think how, but to be in order to be able to progress this, we need a building survey, because that's the issue when you want to apply for grants and things like that. We need a building survey to be able to say, if we want to do solar panels, could we do them on the roof here or over the coffee shop, and things like that. We need a survey of the building. And then you also need architect drawings if you want to try and develop the building, because we are absolutely full to bursting. Sometimes we have to use this as a bookable room for a small number of people because we do not have any of the space. And this is a big room to heat. So that everything has an impact. And so our priority is to have the structural survey done to enable us to progress plans for how can we create more space.
Yeah, with our list of priorities.
Yeah, based on our priorities, yeah. So there's other things like some fire doors that need replacing. The gutters have been cleaned, but they need replacing because there's also water going into the side there. It's
a 26-year-old building. So it's going to need some things doing to it, isn't it? So.
And some of those will be significant costs.
Yeah.
Like you say, that the building fund will not be able to cover. So
can't cover all of them.
No. So that's us. The other thing is the environmental, our carbon footprint. That did reduce a little last year, which is good. There were some things that were higher. Food was higher, but some of that will be down to higher food costs, but also higher sales. So that has an impact on it. One of our things is our mileage reduced tremendously from 38,000 to 18,000, but quite a bit of that will have been down to the way that Yeovil for Family operates, where before gig workers were going out to the families, now we're bringing them into the building. Bringing them into the building means we need more space, but so that was one of the things that was that did reduce, and furniture manufacturers, our purchases was higher, but then prices have gone up as well, so that all has an impact.
It's all part of it, isn't it? Great.
And I'll just at the last slide, it's just so that, so this is currently our safeguarding team, and obviously Lisa remains our designated safeguarding lead, and you will notice, following on from something that's been mentioned last year at the AGM about having male safeguarding deputies. And so, obviously, we have Keith, who works with adults, but we have also asked Sim Ashford and Meg Tucker to undertake the designated safeguarding lead training. So they've done the first part, we've got the 2-day course to come, and then we will have Sim, we thought was a good fit because he obviously covers the work that comes with working with creates people working with the children, but then also working with the 18 to 30s. So he will be able to do that. So that is our team, and I say there'll be 2 more added to it.
Great. I think that's you, isn't it? So. Any questions specifically for Karen around building? Steve?
One of the things on your little hazard stand was parking. Are there any developments on renting next door, purchasing, knocking the fence down? Because that hasn't been mentioned at all.
So those conversations have been going on. That's a really good question. Thank you. Those conversations have been going on. We have made various approaches and proposals and explored different avenues around whether for the whole site, just for a small part of the site, so we can just solve our parking problem if we couldn't do any other parts. All of that is on hold because the site is currently under offer, and we don't know who it's under offer by. It's been under offer for a little bit. We haven't heard any more updates on that. We have registered our interest with the agent and with the owners around if anyone else is buying it. We're still interested in could we have a piece of the land to solve our parking issue. But whilst it's under offer, they can't tell us anything about who's offering or what that process is. We, as I say, we have pursued a lot of different avenues and angles on this one to try and get it over the line. We've pursued renting, we've pursued buying, we've asked them for a price for different sections of the site. But at the moment it's under offer, so everything's paused until that aspect's resolved.
Can I just add to that? I know Ian has also been talking just recently with the Honda garage to see if we could use any of their land for parking as well. We're waiting for an answer on that.
Was it never an option to even consider putting an offer in to buy it before it went under offer?
We considered it, we thought about it, but we honestly felt, as leadership, we met and prayed about it, and we honestly felt that because at this point in time we didn't have a very clear vision, the amount of money that would be necessary to gain 20 extra car parking spaces seemed extortionate. That's why we decided not to push it and see what happened.
Yeah, they were interested in that we could rent part of it, but it was a very high, like thousands a month sort of price for just to get some parking spaces. They were interested if we would buy it, but their price was like 1.75 million, and that it just didn't feel like we had enough clarity on what we'd want to do with the entire site for that, although we were still exploring some of that. And so, like I say, we've explored a whole range of options, with Malcolm's kind of taken the lead on this, and actually done a really good job, I think, of exploring every avenue, including talking to our neighbours in case they were going to bid for it, and if they would bid for it, could we joint bid for it? Or we've explored all those sorts of avenues. But at the moment, it's paused because,
Just wondering if there's any update on getting a lift installed in the building?
Yeah, so that's one of the reasons why we're having a survey, structural survey done. And it's within the architect's plans that we have. It's something that we want costed, but we need the structural survey before we can get the costings. But it is in our list of priorities, but it's going to go in with everything else, and then we'll assess what is the right order of doing things. But yeah, this building needs a lift access to the first floor. It's way too busy to not have it now. So we have to sort it. We just have to go through the right process of having the right reports so we can get the right quotes, so we can get the work done.
I think you're up, Steve.
Well, yes, carry on, Steve. Yep.
You sure?
Yeah, please, yes. Yeah.
That's two of my questions that have been asked.
Great.
Karen, your remit is huge, and I think we underestimate how vast it is. Just for clarity then, as far as dogs are concerned, I understand the dogs for therapy. Are we saying that dogs are not allowed in the auditorium unless they're therapy dogs?
That is, that is what we agreed, yeah. But they could then go into the coffee shop and watch it there. Ideally, if it depends, it's different kinds of dogs.
Yeah, I understand
for
that.
different
It's
reasons.
just that a previous CAP client of mine came in here with a dog and was asked to leave, but not directed to the coffee shop.
Right.
That's why I was looking for clarity there.
Yeah, but this is, say, the policy, we've just
That's fine.
agreed that in trustees.
Okay.
So we'll be letting everybody know.
And the no smoking area around the coffee shop, how is that going to be enforced?
Well, once we have, a designated space, we'll be able to, we'll have signage for that.
So if someone comes in and just sits there from Joe Public, who we're trying to engage with, who sits down and has a fag, someone's going to ask them to politely go somewhere else?
Ian would like to...
Yeah, you're getting to all the tension of the issue.
So logistically, when the building is open and the coffee shop is open, there are 2 tables that are closest to the windows. They are designated as non-smoking tables to limit the amount of smoke that is then going upstairs. The 2 furthest away tables, people can still sit and smoke on. That was the compromise we came to in the short term.
I've got a supplementary question. How is that communicated to Joe Public?
There are 2 non-smoking little signs that are on those tables, and the ashtray, there was a movable ashtray that is then at the 2 furthest away tables. And hopefully the coffee shop staff communicate that with their customers.
I think what you're getting to in this is the challenge of the issue. How do we still be this welcoming, inclusive, helping the people who are most vulnerable, most in need? How do we maintain that whilst keeping people safe, not wanting to infringe on people's working conditions, those sorts of things? And it's a really difficult line to find. So the plan has been brought forward that we're going to have a smoking area. That's been done through consultation with all the different groups, from Bruce to the families to the coffee shop users to the staff to volunteers, all sorts of different people. But the reality is we're going to have to suck it and see. And if we feel like it starts not feeling like us, or if we feel like we're starting to put up barriers that are making it as inaccessible to people, then we'll have to revisit it. But I think we've tried to come up with a proposal that we think can work, and we just have to try it, and then we have to suck it and see and go. But you're right, we have to keep watching for, are we still retaining our distinctiveness and our welcome? I think that's right at the heart of the tension.
Yeah, and it's how it's approached, isn't it, as well? It's how you communicate it.
There's a question, how are we defining opening hours in terms of the smoking policy?
I've said office opening hours, which in my view is kind of Monday to Friday, because we're not around the weekend, so we can't man that.
It's like 9 to 5, 9 to 6.
Yes,
that's I don't know.
So it sounds like signage is quite key. Yeah. Have we got up signs about dogs and smoking other than on the tables outside the coffee shop?
So we've only just approved that. The plan is partly to have it as a question, a Q&A question on the website, in case anybody wants, ask there. And then obviously, there'll be signage around, and obviously the doors that say we've got to do that. That's our next thing to do. It's on his list.
I'm coming back to Steve because Steve's not finished.
Steve's not finished.
Electric vehicle charging points, are they still in use?
Yeah.
Who uses those? Because they're quite public. Can anyone just come in and connect up their vehicle?
Ian can answer this. They're on timers.
No.
Oh, they're not on timers.
They're on switches in the sound cupboard.
Restricted.
They are only used by either member of staff or volunteers that are volunteering in the building, and they are then switched off by that said person, who only has a key to access it.
Yeah. As well as the Lord's Large, of course, as well.
Can I go way back and just mention about pop-ins? It was absolutely fantastic to have such a push on Sunday and to have it repeated right the way through. I think we probably all had people either our own kids going right the way through the kids' work. The lifeblood of the church is our youth work, and it starts that young, and we all know of people who have had interactions right from birth right the way through. How much of a priority is that going to continue to be pushed with Coralie not coming back? Is it seen to be necessary to have a paid person to be able to drive that forward and to provide direction and leadership for the volunteers that are flagging, presumably?
Yeah, it's a good question, and it's at the moment our plan is, but as Malcolm said, there's still can be under review, but at the moment our plan is it sits within our staffing team under the leadership of Lois, who's our children's and families leader. So she's leading it in that sense, but she's obviously not at every session. And so Dee is leading the teams on the Tuesday and the Thursday, and bringing that spiritual leadership as well as team leadership. So our plan at the moment is to see how that works. We've changed the operating time, so it used to be Monday and Tuesday and Thursday. Now it's Tuesday and Thursday, and so there's been an element of amalgamation, I guess, in that. But it also means that that one person is at every pop-in session who's kind of bringing that leadership, that spiritual leadership, and Lois is overseeing it. So at the moment, that feels like a plan that is early days, but feels like a plan that's working. But it's what we need to keep paying attention to and seeing if it has, because you're right, it's absolutely crucial part of who we are as YCC. It's a key part of our DNA. It's a key part of, and like you say, I mean, the baptism stories we heard whenever, 2 Sundays ago, were my child was coming to youth group, my child was coming to kids group, these are familiar, long-running stories that we've heard over the years. So we know that our kids' work, our youth work, our parent holders' work is really key, essential work for who we are as a church. So we will continue to prioritise it. Simon, do you want to come up? Thank you, Karen. I think are there more building questions? Sorry.
No, just one. It's any general questions. So
yeah, that's why I'm going to bring Simon up for any general questions and say thank you to Karen. Yes, Steve.
Okay. In the report, I obviously haven't read it all, but it said there were 735 adults in Church Suite. Could someone explain what that means? Because my old head says, I know we don't have a membership here, but if going to Church Suite, I'm aware of all the work that was carried out in clearing out, I use that in the nicest possible way, people, names.
Cleaning up our data.
Cleaning up our data, yeah. So we're 735. I'm going to say the obvious thing, is that the size of our church?
Joe, do you want to?
Where's the roving mic?
I mean, I could try and answer this for you, but...
Yes.
Very good. Thank you, Joe.
We did a whole load of work filtering out, because we'd had people join through COVID who turned up to a Sunday morning, so they were binned off. We had the data bit of work that we did was enormous, and not in the slightest bit of fun. But what we actually got to the point was these were people who are actively engaged in this community in some form or another, and particularly the adults, that's actually people who've chosen and opted in to be part of Sundays in some form. Not every single person attends on a Sunday morning. Lots of those people are people who've been connected to us, but have decided to stay connected to us. The children number's easier because that's anyone under 18 who is part of Pop-Ins, YCC Kids, YCC Youth. That's quite straightforward. So any child is involved in any of our attending groups is quite straightforward. As far as adults, yes, we're not 736 on a Sunday morning. We're quite a long way from that. But actually, that is people who have said, I actively want to be part of this community, and they've signed up to be it. However, only a fraction of people have actually said you're willing to share your data with others on there. And believe me, it's not don't need to be spooky ex-directory people. This is actually a network where we can share our data with one another as a community. So I would really encourage you to go onto the Church Suite app and to make your data public to our communities, only to people who are part of this church who are not going to spam you. That would be my encouragement, because actually that is then a useful resource for us. Is that helpful?
Is it fair to say, Joe, that the Church Suite app is like the new directory?
Yeah. But you have to. But it's only as useful as people allow it to be. So if you choose, and plenty of people have just gone, I don't want anyone to know my email address, which I understand, but that is a locked down platform. The only people who have access to it are church members, so you don't need to be spooked out by it. And you can just put your first name and your email address. It's up to you. But it is a directory. Do you know any filmmakers? Okay.
Obviously, you have demonstrated. So I was just saying, is there an online tutorial for people to know how to use and access Church Suite? Because I think you have demonstrated it to people, but I think that might be useful because some people aren't necessarily going to be able to retain that, or there may be something they get confused about whilst they're trying to access it and you're not there to talk it through with them. So I think that could be something quite useful moving forward so that it actually gets used more as you want it to.
Yeah, you're right. There is. I was thinking, because there are some general tutorials, but nothing that we have made. Good call. We can do that.
Thanks, Joe. I am so apologetic for this one. 2 questions. Same thing. I've had a chance to read through the job prospectus now. Not that I'm thinking of going for it. You'll be glad to know. And I absolutely love it. And then I get to the end where it says we're operating an open recruitment process.
Yeah.
And I thought, that's fantastic. Open recruitment. We throw it out to everybody, and we choose the best of who applies. Open recruitment doesn't mean that. Thank you for correcting me, Malcolm. What it means is that we basically give the job to the first person that can do it that applies. And I think I'd rather see it spread a little bit further than going for open recruitment. Could someone explain to me where I'm wrong?
It doesn't mean just anybody who applies that we think, they could do the job, they'll be good enough. It's not that. But it does mean that we don't have to hold the job open for a set number of time if we think we found the right person. That's what it means.
So what it means is, what we've done in the past is we've advertised a job and we've put it out for a month. And then we get to the closing date, and there's one person, or there's one maybe potentially viable person, or we haven't got any, and then we have to put it out again, and then you put it out again, and recruitment gets harder and harder. And sometimes we've had to advertise, re-advertise, re-advertise. Whereas if you put it out as open recruitment, it means that you can interview as you go along. So yes, it can be someone applies, and if the first person who applies is amazing, great, employ them. But it also means you don't have to go re-advertising and go, we think we've got the right people, and then you go to interview and you haven't got the right people, and then you have to advertise it again, and it all gets really messy. So the other factor here is because we put it out 2 weeks ago, or whatever it was, if we said, this is going to run for a month or 6 weeks, then no interviews would happen until September. Because nothing happens over August. So this also gives us the opportunity, if the right people apply, or if good people apply, or potential candidates apply, that we can actually do some of that interviewing before the summer break, and then if the right person, that's great. And if they're not, then the advert, it will just roll over. And then even as an open advert, you can expand it and expand it out. So an open advert can maintain here, but then we go, well, now we're going to release it to the New Wine Network, or now we're going to release it to the Wildfires Network, or whatever it might be. You can expand it, but you don't have some of the hassle of just, well, every time we put a new advert out, we have to come up with a new closing date and a new process. So that's some of the thinking behind it.
So if we'd have done open recruiting, and I think you're a fantastic guy, would you have got your job?
Well, I didn't want my job, Dave, did I? But I might have done.
For me personally, I'm sitting here feeling a little bit uncomfortable that we're going this route. I would have rather seen it thrown out at New Wine and look at it in September. But I'm sure that's probably just me personally, and I'm not a trustee of personnel. So what's my word worth?
Yeah, no, but every voice matters, Dave. You know that.
Just on the back of that, if I applied for the job, say...
Yeah.
No. If I applied for the job...
Go on, Steve.
Say,
like the good old days.
And like the good old days, and you guys interviewed me, and you would say to me, have you got any questions? I would say, when will I know by? If you've got the perfect guy that turns up, then you're going to employ them, because you tick all the boxes, and you would be foolish not to employ that person. But if you have 1, 2, 3, over several weeks, bimble through the interview, as it were, and you turn around and you're not happy with them, and I ask the question, when will I know by? And you come back to me and say you haven't got the job. I could ask supplementary questions. How many other people applied? And you might not need to answer that question. But I just agree with Dave.
Yeah, I hear you.
I think when you interview, I've been down that road, and it's good to compare. Even if you choose not to take on, say, 3 candidates because they don't tick the boxes, you just go again and you go again and you go again. After all, we've got a God who's looking after us, and we just keep going again until we find his person.
I'm aware that this year we are losing quite a few Create members after New Wine, and I know next year we don't have as many. What are we doing as a church to alleviate some of that pressure within the church? Because the Create team do amazing stuff every single week. How are we going to encourage the church to try and do a bit more on that?
That was praying from out in the box, I think.
Yeah, I mean, that's the correct answer. We actually called the church to a day of prayer and fasting about it precisely for that reason. And I can tell you that there has been one more applicant, we haven't interviewed them, via Swim, and one other potential applicant from another source as well. So thank you for praying.
Yeah, and I think, but you raise an important point, Dan, because it's very easy to fall into the trap of taking Create for granted. Like, they're always there, they do amazing work, they get loads of stuff done, and it's a phenomenal resource to enable so many things that happen here. Charlotte has been doing pop-ins for 4 years, and now she graduates and she goes somewhere else, and she's not. We can't assume that we're going to have someone in the team next year who's going to do pop-ins. You think about the youth work that happens here, and Create teams show up all the time. You think about the AV and the media and the worship leaders we have on stage and the people who've come through. It's a phenomenal resource. It's a phenomenal blessing to us as a church, and we're a blessing through it as well. If we hit a year where the team is smaller or not able to provide as much support, then there's a gap that we will have to figure out how to solve through volunteers and through other people joining in. And I think it can be easy sometimes to fall into the and element of comfort of going, well, this stuff all just happens. Like, it's all amazing and it all just happens. And but any of us who've been around for any other time know it happens because we have a culture of volunteering, we have a culture of joining in, we have a culture of showing up, we have a culture of going the extra mile, we have a culture of serving here. And so, yeah, I think it's something to pay attention to. But first and foremost, let's pray the right Create team in this year. Simon, you're getting off really lightly here. Any other? Dan.
Sorry, who was that?
Steve, you have a competitor.
Just thinking on the work that we do with young people here, which obviously we do an amazing amount. I'm just wondering, is there something that we could potentially be doing or look at doing in the near to long-term future that, I mean, thinking about some of the things that we used to in the past, like Entfest always kind of is a huge memory for me of kind of one of the first times I came into this building before I even joined the church. I feel like there's something that could be done within this space, mainly targeting the kind of 16 to kind of 25 age range. Don't know what it looks like, but is that something that is still on the radar within conversations? Like, not just for that age range of kids that are in the church already, and obviously we have the youth groups, but just something like an annual event or something that we could potentially do that also maybe generates revenue as well. I don't know, but just a thought.
I think it's a great idea. Is it high up on any list at the moment? No, it's not. But the way things tend to happen here is stuff gets high up on the list because someone shows up with an idea and gets passionate about it. Pretty much, I mean, I know we get funding to do a whole bunch of stuff, but pretty much everything we do started out as somebody with an idea who got a few other volunteers around them and gave something a go. And then we found out that we actually got quite good at it. And then we go and get funding for it. Then like that stuff all follows. But actually it starts off with someone going, I've got an idea, who's in. Like, and we make space for that. We have the resources to make room for that. So I'd love to see some people who are like, yeah, great, let's put an event on or a few events on, or yeah, I'd love it.
So I think we're done. So just a few points. Adam's gone. Just a few points I wanted to touch on. I think just picking up some of the themes. I think the trading subsidiary isn't something to be afraid of. Dragons do not live there. And to be quite honest, if we did it, no one would notice. So I don't think you need to worry about it. Good discussion, but please don't worry about it. And on the coffee shop, it's our coffee shop. And so give us some ideas. You know, there's only a small group of trustees and leaders that are thinking of these things. So if you've got ideas, please come forward with them. And I think it's important to say that we're not extravagant at all. Every financial decision we have to make, we put ourselves through the mill to make sure it's the right thing to do. And we challenge ourselves on a day-to-day basis, is that the right thing to spend? You know, the parking is a great example. You know, they could have been 20 of the most expensive car parking spaces in Yeovil. Actually, I'll make the number up, if that was going to cost us £10,000, generally we felt we could better spend £10,000 on our church or on our community or helping other people. So just please be assured that we do think about these things and we don't take these decisions lightly. And I think my last point is around volunteers. We do need more volunteers. So, you know, it's a plea to those in the room, those watching online, those in your life groups, please go and encourage people to come and volunteer, because that's how we improve things in the coffee shop, improve things on a Sunday morning, follow up on Dan's idea. It's going to have to start with volunteers. Now that's really it. Thank you everyone for coming. Thank you for engaging.